Okay guys, welcome to another episode of a trip down memory lane in a dungeon that's coined the most favorite dungeon, which was Icecrown Citadel on Heroic. And this was the final dungeon of Wrath Lich King. And you get to see all these named NPCs here. Darian. Who else can you see here? Not really anyone of note. Actually, no, you see Sorfang, Tyrion. This is when he was still alive, before he became ultra badass. And then it's Garrosh. Everyone knows with Garrosh. Is there any other NPCs here? I don't think there is any other NPCs here of note. No, none of them at all. So basically, this used to be the area here for the loot. So if you got a tier 6 token, you just need some loot and you come here and you get it. And also, this guy here, I think he's the one that gives the choosing pass there, where you get a ring. And the better rep you have, the better ring you get for this, okay? That's 30%? No, it doesn't do anything. Anyway, so this is the first trash mob. So basically, the Dant here do like a AoE move when you kill them. So pretty much like you want to kill a few at a time, and they keep respawning as well. These guys are annoying trash mob to 7 on the thrones, but you didn't have to kill them. These guys here, you want to kill the brood keepers right away. With the throne, all you had to do with these guys was just face away from the raid. That's pretty much all you had to do. This pool was one of the worst because there's 4 7s, and you also had to clear the pools to the left and right. So in this area, there's a thing called a trap. So if you walk over a trap, you activate one of these guys to the right, and rogues can detect where the trap is, so you don't activate them. Those guys have an AoE shout that silences everyone, and has an AoE shockwave as well that damages in front of them. And they pad around and have a huge aggro radius. First boss is Lord Marigar. He's a joke. He has like a conal AoE flame thing, which you got to dodge. It like sprays out of him. He also has bone shards where people get held up on a bone, and you have to DPS them out of it. If you're on it, like around the person, you get AoE'd for a decent chunk of damage. And basically, you have to do, like, you know, spread out, DPS the guys in chains, spread out, DPS the guys in chains, and stuff like that. I don't think they have the abilities here, no, they're not. And that's pretty much it. Like, you know, that's pretty much the fight. He was just fairly easy overall. Like, there was no extra mechanics, and he dropped the best Rep Paladin weapon in the game with Bryn Troll. Bryn Troll being one of the best weapons for a Rep Paladin. So after you killed him, you can get to the first teleporter, which is arguably pointless. Getting to Lady Death Whisper's room a bit quicker. So this area you have to pull all the trash here. The main reason why you have to pull all the trash is because you don't want to have it during the Lady Death Whisper fight. Humorous, I know, but I don't think you want to during this fight. But this fight like showed the alive mobs, the dead mobs, and stuff like that. So Lady Death Whisper was a massive ad fight, and I think the heroic difficulty, all you had to do, you had groups around here. The reason why you had your groups behind Death Whisper here is because all the ads would spawn on this location, and you wanted all the ads to come this way. So one of the ads would become undead by default in Mythic, I believe, on the Heroic, I mean, and only physical damage could attack one, and magic damage the other. So you had to have your melee and magic DPS switch to the other one that had the immunity shield while you AoE'd them down. And then eventually, once she got to 0% mana, she'd be tankable. And basically what would happen is that over time, like, a tank would get insignificant, so you have to have the other tank taunt and tank it for the main time. So what you do after this is you don't wait for the elevator to go down. You basically, what you do here is you go up to the Rampart Skulls. Okay, you automatically teleport up here. So this is the first raid where they introduce weekly raid quests. So what could happen is, depending if you're Horde or Alliance, you get a Horde Druid come up here and be like, oh, we got to kill something around here. Was it that one where a hunter kited it? Yeah, there was an ad where a hunter could kite it, but you could actually gather up and AoE them all down. Like, you could actually do that. So with this mob, you can actually skip this mob. The funniest thing is what you do, you basically get a speed boost, and you can actually go here and skip this mob. Like, you actually don't have to kill this mob, which is quite humorous. But also, one of the things here was this, basically one of the weekly quests that you got. They disabled them on launch of Cataclysm. But what you did here, there was a ad here that you had to kill. Let's see if he's still up, but I don't think he is. But there used to be an ad here that you had to kill for a quest. And essentially you got like extra loot for killing it. And that's what happened. You get extra loot for killing it. You get extra badges or whatever for killing it. So next one is probably the easiest heroic, which is Gunship Battle. Like, Gunship Battle was a brain dead, easy heroic kill. It was basically the same as normal Gunship, but everything hit harder. And a lot of guilds, what they did was they did Marrow heroic, but their first heroic kill was always Gunship. Because Gunship was brain dead easy. So with Gunship Battle, what you have to do, you have to get your thing to max heat, but not hit it, let it hit 100. If you let it hit to 100, you couldn't do anything, okay? And you can actually DPS the boss before the boss gets into view, okay? So this is basically the first Horde v Alliance battle. So there we go. So basically you can start damaging the thing here. As you can see, there's like damage numbers below. And you probably killed a ship in the first 2 seconds, okay? There we go. And basically this fight's basically an ad fight where like there has to be a tank here and people manage the ads. And what happens as well, like people get shot over. Like people jump over or get shot over to the other side. Like there's ways to jump over. I think you get a goblin jetpack. They can jump over to the other side. For the Horde side, you can actually sneak up on one of the wings here and jump over to the Alliance gunship without using the launching pad. So that's how people cheese it as well. Is that you could jump over. For speed running this, what you can do is you can teleport back to here and teleport back to Deathbringer's Rise, and Saurfang will already spawn. So you can immediately go in. See like how Deathbringer's Saurfang's still RPing? Like you can immediately get him ready to go. So next one's Deathbringer's Saurfang, which everyone loved him because he dropped the best trinket called Deathbringer's Will, which basically changed you to different like Vicar or minions of Woodall Friends. Also, he was probably one of the hard, like the entry level raid. This is where it went up a notch because Deathbringer's Saurfang was a person who dropped tier tokens, and also at the same time he's actually really tough because of the Mark of Conqueror, which stacked up really quickly because he could generate a lot of blood power very quickly. Like normally at the end of a heroic fight, you had 5 or 6 on players, and this is where paladins were very good because paladins could put their beacon on the person with a mark of the champion and basically heal the tank. So basically the person with the mark would get healed, and the person who would get the thing would get healed as well. Also as well, when the blood ad spawned, they slowed everyone around them, including the fixated target, and you had to AoE them down, but at the same time, you couldn't get caught by the bloods, otherwise you die. So that was the biggest element. You had to find out who was being focused on it, and then you had to slow the bloods down and kill them as quickly as you can. Like he spawns blight beasts, and they put a slowing aura around everyone in melee range. And yeah, so basically he dies. So what happens, he asphyxiates everyone with like a range asphyxiate, and then we kill him. Okay, he dies now. Let's go. Come on. There we go. Okay, he dies. Okay, basically, in the first week of ICC, this was all you could do, okay? Until after Christmas, this is all you could do. You could only do 4 bosses, and this door wouldn't open. And basically, Horde would set up a little base here, okay? Also, in this part here, Saurfang brings back his son's corpse back onto the ship and disappears. So now, after Christmas, I think it was the week after New Year's, the next part of the dungeon release, like every part of the dungeon had a gate for 2 weeks, I believe. It was a week or 2 weeks, I'm not terribly too sure. For this area, you would instantly die if you went through these blue flames. There's these switches on the walls which rogues could detect, and they could disable all the flames. So one thing here is basically, this is the main hit hall. 2 weeks, okay, I knew it. So basically, if you have all the areas unlocked, there would be captains that would come in here, like teleported in. And the reason why they teleport in is for a Frostwing, okay? So anyways, we're gonna go to A-Bomb Wing first. So with these guys, the blinded A-Bombs, this pool was pretty alright. These things would explode. The guys, like most of these guys here would just easily like tank and spank. Like, most of these things here were easily tank and spank. For this area here, you have to kill both bosses, being Rotface and Festigut. You also see Festigut and Rotface appear in Violet Hold. as Festa-Face, I believe. And this is Precious, okay? So basically, these dogs have the same mechanics as Gluff. Basically, they can reduce everyone's health to 0, but they have different mechanics. One is a pulsing AoE, and one of them has multiple adds. So for Rotface, basically what you had to do is a DPS race kind of, and you had to just face away from the raid while Professor Putricide thrown Marble Goo, and there was like orange stuff on the ground which you had to avoid as well during this fight. And this fight was pretty easy overall. Oh yeah, I did talk about the ribbon. Precious is the most farmed boss for the ribbon. Were you impressed by Steven's team and Clint Steves? Yeah, they got second, didn't they? Mango was like unfortunate. But either way, let's continue. So what happens is, which I did not do, is that you gotta click the gassing. So as you can see here, basically you would spawn these green puddles, and it was a DPS race because of these green puddles. Oh god, am I not gonna be able to do this? Come on. Okay, there we go. Basically, if you guys don't notice, green puddles are random as well. Yep. Actually, he doesn't chuck Malleable Goo in this one. He chucks down the orange to choking goo. So basically everyone just gets choked instead. Okay, so basically Stinky was the one that does the AoE. Also, there's Geist traps here as well. Basically, the Geist have a trap and they all just appear. And essentially, you know, not too hard. This guy was a DPS race. Basically, tanks at the tournament at 9 stacks, otherwise they blow up and do a lot of damage to a raid. And they also had a thing to reduce the damage that the gas and debuffs did by 33%. It's called the spores. You had like, you know, 1 spore per person. And like each group were assigned to it. And basically at the end of the first spore, it does a big detonation. And if you have like, you know, you have to have 3 or 2 stacks of spore. If you did not, you would die. And tanks would get swollen up over time. They get 9 stacks and just can't keep DPS in the boss, while the other tank gets swollen as well. And they're torn back and forth, but they get increased damage from being swole. So this part here was the meme part area, I feel. Also, if you're Unholy DK, you can get a skin from Putricide, like the secret skin from Putricide, if you've done the quest chain so far. And there'll be like a hidden mechanic down there for an Unholy DK to obtain the skin for their artifact weapon. I think it was like somewhere around here, like it's a Putricide hidden area, and you can get a hidden skin for your finger. So for this fight for Putricide, you have to have 2 people. Actually, I think you have to have 1 person collect the pot and drink it, and basically they would spend the entire fight sucking up slime pools and basically putting a slow on the green ad whenever it came out, and the orange ad as well. And basically in this fight as well, with Volatile Experiment, is that people got different colors. The heroic mechanic, there was a disease you had to pass around. Like you had to just walk into the person and hold it for a certain time and walk into another person. But also you got assigned to a slime mechanic. Where basically like if you had an orange slime mechanic, you can only damage orange and vice versa. And that was pretty much it. The Geist is still running around, by the way. Is anyone else getting lag and WoW? Yeah, it's been an issue today. But people are still getting the lag that they were getting yesterday. See, that's you know, Plague Wing. Putricide was probably the hardest boss in Plague Wing. Like, basically most guilds had Heroic, Rotface, and Festigut down. It was always Putricide because people were really bad at passing the disease in phase 3 when you had the zero boss. So pretty poor at passing the disease. This boss here, if you killed the Archmage quick enough, you could get the Blood Thing here. And basically what this Blood Thing did is that all your spells are instant, okay? Regardless if they had channels or anything like that, they'd be instant, okay? So you can see with Meme Beam, it was instant, okay? Like there was no cast time, everything was instant. Yeah, like a lot of people couldn't even get on last night. It's like pretty bad. Also as well, this boss, this base, you meet all these guys here. Like, you know, basically with, I think it's Valinor at, I think, the Flame Dude. Yeah, Talon Rim at Azrael Narub. This guy in Borean Tundra. Well, that's, I think, and this guy at, was it Utgard Keep. So basically, you killed all these guys in, like, these starting zones. And basically, they had shared health with Blood Orb. And each one had their own empowered ability that they would do if they had the orb. Like, this guy did a giant shock blast. This guy did a giant flame orb that you had to absorb. And this guy just did more shadow damage, basically. And that's the first, you know, part of the vampire dudes. So here we go. Same thing here once again. If you killed a guy who's got it, you can get the Bloodthirst mechanic. By the way, guys, just in case you guys are wondering, they got rid of this, the Bloodthirst mechanic. Like, the moment you get up here, it goes away. So Blood Queen was an interesting boss, okay? Blood Queen was, basically, it was a DPS check. And you just had to bite each other. That's pretty much it. Basically, like, you get like, the first person gets bitten, they get 6 seconds better DPS, then the next two, then basically those two have to bite someone, and basically keeps going on and on and on and on. Like, you know, one person bites one, then they bite one more, and then eventually everyone's bitten and they have to zerg the boss. This, basically, you lost, I think it's when all the DPS had to bite someone, which was basically, I think it was the 16 or 8 mark. And that's when you would lost and see if, you know, how many people you could take down, or if you could take down the boss. And yeah, that's pretty much the fight. And we're gonna one-shot this before she bites me. Okay. She also did a soul mirror on the tanks, where the tanks would take the same amount of damage. And yeah, once bitten, twice shy does take quite a long time to do. Also, by the way, if you want to skip down to the next boss, basically the chandelier goes, and you can go down to Finger. Next up, we go to Sindragosa. The worst voice acted boss. Okay. We're not going to do Valimphria because we can't do Valimphria because we have no healing. Just in case you guys are wondering why we're not doing Valimphria. Because we have no healing. So we're going to skip past Valimphria. Basically, Valimphria Dreamwalker is basically had to heal her up. Like, that was the fight, was healing her up. You can have the essence. What essence? Also, with the sort of weeks where if you wanted to go, like, for a weekly quest, there's a weekly quest in here. The Healing Beam. Oh, you mean the Heart of Flame, which I don't have. Yeah, the Ancient Flame, you mean. Gotcha, we'll get what you mean. I want to see if I would one-shot here where... Crucible Flame, yeah. 2 seconds getting it on. Okay. So for this boss, you healed her with the Crucible Flame. And yeah, basically there's like a lot of ads that swarmed around. I'm not sure if it would heal her up instantly, I'm not terribly too sure. But we'll see. Any damage to the heals? No, I meant one-shot restore. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There we go. Wow. But that's the fight, basically. With her, you just had to, like, heal up to full. And that was pretty much it. That's all you had to do. Was heal up to full. And yeah, that was pretty much the boss. Welcome to the boss, okay? Oh yeah, of course. I know, like, to start the encounter, you have to, you know, do it. Like that. So for this area here, basically what you had to do is you had to kill the spiders here. Enjoy the achievement. Dude, I've already got Portal Jockey. I've already got the full achievement on my Paladin. Like, my Paladin has all the achievements here. So basically what you have to do is you have to kill all the spiders. The broodlings keep respawning. You need to kill these Vicryl here. The funny thing here is this is the only part where the Vicryl come into the equation. Like, there's no other Vicryl in the dungeon. Just so weird. In ICC, other than those, like, you know, little Vicryl there. There we go. So afterwards there's a bug here where the little spiders will spawn regardless of what you do. So you just move out. So yeah, pretty much what you did here, you basically killed these guys and the drakes would land. You would have already reached one of these drakes via via a certain you know, certain boss in I think it's a pit of Sauron. You would have already met him, which I believe it's Rhymefang. So basically you kill Rhymefang and then you kill Spinestalker and Sindragosa comes, okay? Basically, you don't know, Sindragosa is one of the other dragons that Arthas raised up as well. Like, he raised up Sapphiron and then raised up Sindragosa a bit later. Sindragosa being a blue dragonflight. Sindragosa is very easy to kill, just an FYI. And pretty fun, like, basically, she did the same mechanics, like, you know, don't, like, some casters couldn't cast, they they explode. But some people managed it and other people, you know, didn't. But if you weren't able to manage it, basically you stood outside the raid. And what happened is when Sindragosa flew up, she picked 4 people to turn into tombs. And you basically stack the people around here. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hit behind those tombs for 3 frost bombs. And then after the 3 frost bombs were done, you break the people in the tombs out. Okay? Because the people in the tombs were taking damage as well. And if you didn't break them out, they would probably die. Well, they would die due to their tomb damage. And you couldn't heal them throughout it, so you had to be very, very quick to break them out as well. And make sure they were topped up before they were tombed. Last but not least, is going to be Arthas, okay? So once you kill all the bosses, the lanterns here light up, kind of like Ganon's Tower in Zelda. And you can take the central portal to Arthas, okay? So, you know, basically you got Arthas sitting here. Bolvar in bondage, basically, because Arthas is torturing him. Like, here we go. You can see here. Bolvar, he's, you know, in bondage. He's trying to turn Bolvar against the Alliance, but he's not turning. Like, he's fully burnt from Alex Strahz at the Wrathgate. But he's still alive. So, yeah, basically, Lich King and Tyrion talk for a bit. About how, like, he should quit and give up. And, you know, Arthas laughs at him. So, Arthas has 3 phases. The first phase is basically kill the ghouls with disease. Like, there's a disease that just spreads around. And basically what you do, if you have the disease, you go to the ghouls, dispel, and it basically goes around the ghouls and kills them, and eventually kills the big guy. Like, there's a big undead Vicryl, you have to kill the disease. You can't normally DPS him. And you continue doing this until he goes to 70%. Then when he goes to 70%, he goes into phase 2. And we're not going to see it. At 10%, he kills everyone. But since we have, like, so high versatility, he doesn't kill us, okay? So what happens is that in phase 1.5, you basically run to the edge of the ice because he's casting a Frostmourne ability, which means all this area you can't be on. And what you do is basically someone would spawn an ad, tank would tank it and face away from the raid, and basically you'd kill the ad. Meanwhile, hunters and other ranged DPS would be focusing the orbs coming from the center and make sure the orbs don't hit the raid. If the orbs hit the raid, you get punted off and you die. But also other DPS had to kill the spirit. Once all the spirits are dead, and Arthur stopped doing the spirit thing, he would pull the sword out of the center, and you had to get back on here, and this platform would despawn. Okay. And the next phase, what would happen is basically there'll be Valkyr. So basically, you'll sit in the center, I believe, when the Valkyr was calling, and then basically you would AoE all the Valkyr down. You could slow them down as well, and you could grip them in, and you would slow the Valkyr down and kill them basically. So you would kill them, very quickly. You could grip them back in. You can slow them. Well, you can actually let Warlock ones go because Warlocks could summoning portal back up to the area here, so they could basically walk back up. And yeah, that's exactly what they were able to do. And what else? And that's pretty much it. He also had Defile as well, where he'll put a Defile in the room. The moment he started casting Defile, and the moment it dropped, you would pop speed cooldown to get out of it. Because the longer you were in Defile for, the bigger it got. And if it got too big, it's basically a wipe. So basically you have to make sure the Defiles are as small as possible. And at 40%, he goes for another phase, 2.5. And you would have to do the same thing again, except you get one more spirit. And then next up, you get phase 3, which is basically in hard mode. You would go into the Lich King's room all together, and you have to dodge like falling comets that fall down. Like you'll have to dodge falling comets. In normal difficulty, you just had to beat a undead person fighting King Tyrannus. And that's it. Also at the same time, you have to deal with spirits. Basically, these archers would spawn spirits here, and range would have to DPS them, while while the tank would move the boss over here. So basically, the spirits would not kill everyone. Basically, when the spirits hit a target, they explode. And that's pretty much it. And also, there was still Defile in this phase. There was no more Valkyrie, but there was still Defile in this phase. And did I get a mount? No, I did not. I got the pet again, though. And also, if you got the legendary, like if for the heroic loot, they had like extra text as well. So you guys can't see that. I'll post it in raid. But you got extra text as well, like with a sock, you got the extra text with Cars, Modan, or whatever. But anyways, that's that's pretty much trip down memory lane for ICC. I actually did kill ICC on 25-man heroic. I was 12 out of 12 on heroic, but I never got invincible. Okay, I had to farm invincible from me doing this dungeon over and over again. We killed Putricide, Sinjagosa, and all that stuff. We had attempts on Arthas, and we got him killed, I think, 2 to 3 times, but I never got invincible. Also, as well, as you can see here, Bolvar is now the Lich King. As you can see him frozen on the throne. So there must always be a Lich King, and he's no longer in bondage. So yeah. We killed him maybe 20 times. Damn, you still didn't get a mount? Oof. But anyways, guys, that was it, okay? That was it for the trip down memory lane. For my experiences, I was a healer for most of this dungeon. And yeah. Healer for most of the dungeon. I healed Sorafang. I think I healed all the bosses, including Lich King. My favorite boss was Sorafang, because Beacon was like so good for that fight. Like it was insanely good. The other thing as well, like the other fight I enjoyed as well was Dreamwalker, because Dreamwalker, you felt like you were useful. Like Holy Paladins were very good for Dreamwalker, because you could actually abuse, in the first few weeks, you could abuse the pet. Like there was this pet that had Blood of the Rhino, which increased healing by 40%, and you could just like spam heal the pet, and it would give 40% extra healing to Dreamwalker. But they nerfed it like 3 weeks in, so it was just better off healing Dreamwalker and Beacon in the tank at the same time. And also I was really good at collecting the orbs. I had like 40 stacks. And we also had a talent called Protector of the Innocent. And basically you could grab like at least 50 or 60 stacks as a paladin. And if you kept healing, Protector of the Innocent would always out heal the damage from the debuff of Dreamwalker. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for a trip down memory lane for today. We're probably gonna do Mythic Pluses because I don't see getting any more people at the moment.